So where there is high level of employment opportunities will always attract people coming into those areas. And we also have change in status. You find out that some persons, when their status has been changed, they will tend to move from one area to another. For instance, you do not expect a man who has gone through the university and probably has become a lecturer in the university to remain in the village, that's in the rural area. Such a person has to move from that area, from the rural area, to an urban area where the university is situated. So that's a factor also responsible for migration. Finally, we have presence of social amenities. Everybody likes or wants to experience good life, a standard of living. So people will live areas where there are little or no social amenities, like electricity, water, and the rest, to areas where these things are readily available. So these factors affect migration. Now let's look at advantages of migration. When people move from one area to another, what is the advantage? And what also is the disadvantage? Or what are the disadvantages? These are what we are going to look into now. Now, the advantages of migration include: one, that there is a reduction in population pressure on the agricultural land at the source area. Remember, I said the source area is the place where people are living. So when people leave a particular area, the pressure on the land for agricultural purposes, the pressure on the available resources, the pressure on the social amenities will also reduce because the population has reduced. Now there is a reduction in population pressure on social amenities, we've said that already, and due to migration, there is supply of labor force at the receiving or destination region. An area that receives high influx of people, that's the area where people are living into, otherwise called the destination, will in turn receive high labor force. So that is an advantage of migration. But this is advantageous to the receiving end, but a disadvantage actually to the source area. It promotes market at the receiving region, and unity, cultural integration at the receiving area is also or are also promoted. Now let's consider some disadvantages of migration. What happens to the source area? What happens to the receiving area when people leave or when people enter into these regions respectively? One, when there is migration, it leads to high crime rate at the receiving region, because as people go into these areas, they increase the population, and we have earlier established that highly populated areas tend to experience high crime rates. Two, it leads to high cost of living at the receiving end. When people come into an area, the population increases. This tends to increase the standard of living of the area, or the cost of living, because they will be struggling for the available resources, available housing, available food, and other amenities available in the area. Thus, there may tend to be an increase or a cost in standard of living in these areas. It also leads to pressure on social amenities in the receiving area. Now, it also leads to capable men and women at the source area being lost. Men and women with the skills and with ability to have carried out certain work or duties in the source area because of migration are lost to the receiving or destination regions. As a disadvantage also, migration leads to unemployment at the destination. The little or no jobs available will be taken up by this high influx of people, leading to unemployment and at times underemployment at the destination. Finally, we have that migration leads to housing and traffic congestion at the destination. It is very obvious in highly populated areas. The housing facilities are not adequate, and road congestion is a menace on its own in these areas. So this is a disadvantage of migration. Let's look at population data or population statistics. Population data involves the use of statistics to analyze the characteristics or changes to a population. The national population statistics of any given country are usually collected by conducting what we call population census. Population census here is the official head count of all the people in that country. Census usually is taken every 10 years, and the information it provides include sex, age, occupation, residence, etc. And above all, it provides the exact or approximate number of people living in that country. Now, what are the importance of population census? As earlier talked about, population census is important because it gives us information about the size of the population of the country and also helps in revenue estimation. When you know the population size of your country, the government can know where to expect revenue, because they will know the number of men, number of women, the number of children. They also know the number of people who are employed and those who are unemployed. And as such, will know various areas where they will be expecting revenues from. Now, with this population statistics or population data, the government can forecast future economic needs of her country, such as food and housing. Knowing how many people you have today, you can estimate how many you may be having in the next 5 years. And this information will help the government to make adequate arrangement for food and for housing and other infrastructures in the country in order to take care of the rising population of the country. Now, there is determination of level of employment. Based on population census, the government can know the level of employed and unemployed people in her country. And also, this will help them to carry out or lay down policies that will enhance generation of employment to aid the teeming unemployed population of of people in her country. Now, there is also determination of standard of living through per capita income of the people. Carrying out population census will also aid the government to know how much an individual earns in a country, how much an individual gets at the end of the month or week, as the case may be. This may also help the government to determine the standard of living in the country. There is distribution of resources. Population census will also help to know areas that are highly populated, areas that are moderately, and areas that are lowly populated, so that resources could be distributed accordingly. So you will give greater part of the resources to areas that are highly populated, and less of the resources will be given to areas that are lowly populated, to balance everything up. Now, this also will enhance the provision of social amenities. Because of the pressure that will be imposed on the amenities available in highly populated areas, the government, through the idea or the statistics obtained from the population census conducted, will be able to provide social amenities to these areas. And mind you, the amenities that will be provided will be much in areas that are densely populated compared to areas that are moderately or lowly populated. Now, there is also determination of the population density. Now, from the calculation we did some time ago about the population density of Nigeria using the data obtained from the 2006 population census that was carried out, we were able to establish that the population density of Nigeria is 151.5